Hi, we're not on the range today, we're at one of our training facilities. Recently, Lucky Gunner did a two-part series on buckshot. In part one, he explained a lot of things. In part two, he showed some targets and explained a few more things. One of the things he discussed was the 9th pellet flyer phenomenon. That's where you have 12 gauge, 2 3/4 inch double-aught buck, 9 pellet. You have 8 pellets on the target in a good group, and then 1 pellet that's a flyer. Now you might say, so what? If the intended target got hit with 8 pellets instead of 9, it probably wouldn't make that much difference. Well, Lucky Gunner concluded that that 1 pellet might hit an innocent bystander, and that might make a lot of difference to that person and to you. That is a conclusion with which I completely concur. But some people contacted me and asked me if I've ever experienced that 9th pellet flyer. Well, good science is verifiable, falsifiable, and repeatable. I've got some shotguns, I've got some buckshot. Let's shoot some targets and see what kind of results I get. I've got 4 targets set up at 15 yards. I have my Remington 870 Tactical with an 18-inch cylinder bore barrel, and it's loaded with Remington green and yellow box 12 gauge 2 3/4 inch double-aught buck 9 pellet. Let's see what kind of results we get. Let's take a closer look. Here's our targets. Let's take a close-up look at them. In the target on our far right, we have 8 hits on the silhouette, 1 miss, but it's still on paper. The totality of the pattern is 8 inches. But is this one really far enough off to call it a flyer? Maybe. Now our next target, we see that, again, 8 hits on the silhouette, 1 still on the paper, but a miss from the silhouette. The totality of the pattern is 11 inches. Would I call that one a flyer? No, this just in its entirety is a poor pattern. Our next target has a much better pattern. The totality of the pattern, including this 1 miss, is 10 inches. But would I say with 8 on the silhouette and this 1 miss, is that a flyer? I'm going to say yes. Now our fourth target, we see again, not a particularly good pattern, but 8 hits on the silhouette, 1 completely off the paper that I've marked with this orange pasty. And would I call this one a flyer? Definitely yes. Now I have the 870 Tactical loaded with Federal Blue Box 12 gauge 2 3/4 inch double-aught buck 9 pellet. Let's see what kind of results we get with these. Well, we got a malfunction. Now let's take a look at the targets. Now with the Federal ammunition, we got some very interesting results. Let's take a close-up look at these targets. If we look at our first target, we see that the pattern is very tight, only 7 inches in its entirety. We also see that the shot cup hit the target and penetrated it. Now with the Remington ammunition, all the shot cups hit the cardboard or the targets, but they just bounced off. Another very interesting thing is you only see 6 buckshot impacts. Now there's actually 7 if you look really close. 1 is next to the shot cup impact. Where did the other 2 pellets go? They did not miss the cardboard in its entirety. They're still in that shot cup. That's why it went through the cardboard. Now let's take a look at our second target. On our second target, again, a pretty tight pattern, 8.5 inches, but we only see 7 buckshot impacts. The other 2 pellets did not miss the cardboard in its entirety. They're still in the shot cup. On our third target, we see a tight pattern. The entirety of the pattern is 8.5 inches, but could either of these or both of them be called flyers? Maybe. But to me, what's even more interesting is that we only see 7 buckshot impacts. The other 2 pellets are still in the shot cup. If we go to our fourth target, we see that the entire pattern is a little bit high, so we don't want to call this impact a flyer. But we see the exact same occurrence, only 7 buckshot impacts. The other 2 pellets are still in the shot cup. So with the Federal ammunition, even after shooting 15 yards, some of the pellets are still in the shot cup. And remember, this is not flight control wad or anything like that. So I think these targets tell us more about the quality of Federal Blue Box ammunition than they do about 9th pellet flyer. Let's try another type of ammo. Now I've got the 870 loaded with Suprema 12 gauge 2 3/4 inch double-aught buck 9 pellet, and this advertises on the box that it is a premium game and defense load. Let's see how it does. Oh, we got another malfunction. So far I'm not that impressed with it, but let's take a look at the targets. Well, with the Suprema ammunition, we got some very interesting results. Let's take a look at these targets. On our first target, we have 7 hits on the silhouette, 1 on the paper, and then 1 out here that I marked with the orange pasty. So is this a pattern with a 9th pellet flyer, or is that part of just a very large pattern? Hard to tell. On our second target, we see 6 hits on the silhouette and then 3 off the paper. Again, is this one a flyer or just part of a very big, rather poor pattern? Hard to tell. Our third target, now it's got some interesting results here. Here we see 6 pellets on the silhouette, 1 that's still technically a hit, and then 1 off the paper. Down here is where the wad hit. So is this a group with 1 flyer? Maybe. But what's really interesting here is I can only count 8 impacts. I see no evidence that any of these are keyholes. They might be. But judging from the other targets, it's also possible that we have a 9th pellet flyer that missed the cardboard completely. Now with our last target, this is the wad that doesn't count. We see over here several impacts, and then 1 clear off over here and 1 way down here. So is this our pattern with 2 flyers? I'm going to say yes, that's definitely a 9th pellet flyer. And as a bonus, we got an 8th pellet flyer as well. So what I take away from the results with the Suprema ammunition are 2 things. 1, their definition of premium and mine are obviously different. And 2, Lucky Gunner made the assertion that not all shotgun ammunition is created equal. There you go. So let's try something different. I'm back to my Remington green and yellow box 12 gauge 2 3/4 inch double-aught buck 9 pellet, but I'm going to shoot it through my Mossberg 500, which has a 20-inch improved cylinder bore barrel. Now let's take a look at the targets. And the results with the Remington ammunition fired out of the Mossberg 500 show us a couple of things. Let's take a look. On our first target, we see all 9 pellets on the paper, 7 on the silhouette. The totality of the pattern is 11.5 inches. Now, if we take this as our pattern, is this shot here a flyer? Maybe. If we go to our second target, we see that the wad hit. We see all 9 impacts on the silhouette. But again, if we take this as our pattern, is this one a flyer? I'm going to say no. Looking at our third, we have a totality of 10 inches of the group. But this is actually a pretty good group. The fact that this one missed, it's still part of this group. Is this one a flyer? I'm going to say yes. And if we look at our fourth one, this is a very poor pattern. The totality of it is 13 inches. But again, if we consider this our group, could we call that one a flyer? Maybe. So we see the phenomena of the 9th pellet flyer, and we also see that buckshot does not always perform the same out of different firearms. Even though the Mossberg has an improved cylinder bore barrel, the patterns I got were bigger than when we fired the Remington ammunition out of the Remington shotgun that just has a cylinder bore barrel. Now, one more thing to add. When it comes to shooting different types of shotgun ammunition through different types of shotguns at different distances, especially on the topic of different wads and shot cups and flight control wads, Lucky Gunner has some good information on that. Also, we have a couple of presentations on shooting different types of buckshot through different shotguns at different distances, and the Federal Flight Control wad is part of that, and you can watch that for more information. But the real takeaways from today are, first, like Lucky Gunner said, not all shotgun ammo is created equal. Second, like Lucky Gunner said, that 9th pellet flyer thing is very real, and it doesn't occur all the time. And third, Tex, if your shotgun wasn't doing what you think it should have, maybe you were using that Suprema ammunition. So as always, don't try this at home on what you call a professional, and thanks for watching the 9th pellet flyer video.